These are the 7 high-performance habits that I would highly recommend you use if you want to perform at your best, whether this is at work, in your career, in sports, or in your relationships, because all of them help compound over time so you can have optimal energy and be at your best. Some of these are going to sound quite basic, but I can almost guarantee that you're not following these to the letter. So let's get straight into it. The first one is hydration. If the first thing you can do in the morning is have an electrolyte in 500 mils of water as soon as you wake up, the energy levels will go straight through the roof because you're not reaching for your phone, you're not going downstairs and getting yourself a coffee. Open your eyes, roll over, turn your alarm off, and then drink the water with the electrolyte in it. It's unbelievable the benefits from this. Now, I use a brand called Hue Mantra. The little sachets, they're about £28 for a box, and it lasts you around a month. So it's about £1 a sachet, but it does make all the difference. Now, a quick equation for you regarding water is you want to be drinking 1 litre per 25 kilograms of body weight. So if you weigh 100 kilograms, you need to drink 4 litres. It's a pretty simple equation. What a lot of people do, however, is they think they have to drink all of the water in one go or in the space of 2 or 3 hours. It's just simply not true. If you're waking up at 6 and you're going to bed at 10, really you want to be stopping at about 8 p.m. So therefore you've got a 14-hour window where you can drink the water and just spread it out. If you drink 500 mils before you even leave your bed or your bedroom to have with the electrolyte, great, you're already 1 pint down. It's only 8 pints. I'd highly recommend getting a bottle though. This is quite big, it's about 2 litres, but I carry it most places because then I know if I've hit my allowance or if I haven't. So if you live a quite sedentary lifestyle and you're working 9 to 5 from an office, then I would still recommend drinking that as the minimum. If you have a very active life, and let's say you work outdoors, you work with your hands, you might work in construction, whatever, then yes, I would probably recommend increasing that water intake. So, diet. Now, this isn't like a one-stop shop for everybody, but there are some things that I would recommend that you follow as a basic rule of thumb. You want to be consuming as much protein and fiber as you possibly can. It doesn't mean that carbohydrates are the devil, because they're not, but they are more calorie dense. It's the same with fats as well, but they're both key for any good balanced diet. So I'm 6'4" and I weigh over 100 kilograms. My typical meals for the day will look something like a big bowl of oats in the morning with some fruit. This is after I train. So I've already hydrated, then I'll train, then I'll eat my breakfast. Because I'm eating at around 9 a.m., 9:30, and it's quite a big portion of food, I don't need to eat in between that and lunchtime. Lunch will be something like sea bass or steak or chicken as my main protein source. Then I'll have some sweet potatoes. Then I'll have some tender stem broccoli or some asparagus. I don't like to give myself too many options when it comes to meals because you can get almost decision fatigue. It makes everything easy. You can get in flow when you're cooking. It doesn't mean that I don't like cooking, but it just means that it makes it more practical. Afternoon, I'll probably have some fruit or a protein bar as a snack. Dinner is a similar version of what I had at lunch, or alternatively, I might get a pack of, say, chicken mince with some mushrooms, some onions, and some peppers. If you add some creme fraiche and some like Nando's sauce to it, it's not as shit as the jarred sauce that you can get from like Uncle Ben's or wherever. But instead, the creme fraiche is really low calorie for the actual quality sauce, and it just gives it a huge flavour. But if you lean on seasonings as much as you possibly can, not just salt and pepper, be a bit more experimental, right? So peri salt, Cajun spices, garlic granules, whatever, it adds huge flavour to your dish. I sometimes sprinkle some Parmesan cheese over this tender stem broccoli as well because it elevates the flavour. I'm not advocating you have plain chicken, plain potatoes, plain broccoli. You want to blow your fucking brains out. Don't do that. So you can elevate all the flavours without doing a great deal and not adding too many calories to it. So then on an evening, I might have a protein yogurt and a can of Diet Coke as like the sweet treat, as it were. So that's a typical diet for me. And I train 5 or 6 times a week. I'm currently operating at about 11, maybe 12% body fat, and I can keep that figure most of the year round. So whatever works for you is a shit piece of advice because so many people don't know what works for them and they kid themselves. So if you want to lose weight, I would highly recommend getting into a calorie deficit, drinking about, as I said earlier, depending on your size, 2.5 to 4 liters of water, getting around 8 to 10K steps in every day. We'll get onto exercise in a second. But as we all know, it comes from the calorie deficit. How do you work out to be in a calorie deficit? So you take your amount of weight that you are right now in pounds, and then you do 10 calories per pound of body weight. So let's say you weigh 200 pounds, you would consume 2,000 calories as a starting point. And if you followed that for around 6 weeks, you are going to start to see weight loss. Okay. Then after 6 weeks, you want to adjust it. Then you want to go off 10 calories per pound of the new weight, not of the 2,000 one, because you might be down to, say, 190 at this point. So then you just decrease it. So then you're in a small calorie deficit, but most importantly, it's sustainable. The next one is sleep. This is far and away the most important part of health. The reason why is because you can go a day without drinking water. You can go a day without exercise. You can go a day without eating. And none of those are ideal. But if you go a day without sleep, you are absolutely fucked. So you have to prioritize it. Now, some of you listening to this right now might have young children. Yes, your sleep is going to be disturbed, but you want to set yourself up to succeed as best you can. I'd highly recommend going up to bed. Let's say you wake up at 6 typically. I'd highly recommend going upstairs to bed at around 9:15 or 9:30. By the time you brush your teeth, you might read a book, get your gym gear ready or your stuff ready for work the next day. It's going to be 10 o'clock anyway. For any of you that have worn a Whoop band before will know that if you're in bed for 10 and you wake up at 6, you're not getting 8 hours of sleep. You're probably getting around 7. And to be optimal, it has to be between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. So it's really important that you prioritize this. Yes, there are little hacks like using lavender spray and wearing an eye mask and wearing, like ear protectors, something like that, right? Earbuds, to ensure that you're getting as much sleep as you can. But if you're scrolling on your phone and you've got your phone in your bedroom, all of that almost becomes null and void. There's a bit of a rule that we follow at A Game, 3, 2, 1. Don't eat 3 hours before bed. Don't drink any liquid 2 hours before bed. And don't have any screen time an hour before bed. Again, this is for optimal. It's not going to be perfect all the time. Exercise. So it doesn't matter if it's CrossFit, high rocks, netball, tennis, weightlifting, just get moving. We are not designed to sit on our ass all day in an office and then go home and sit down and watch TV for 5 or 6 hours. We were never designed that way. So many people wake up, sit down at breakfast, sit down in the car to drive to work, sit down all day, sit down in the car to come back, then sit down to have dinner, sit down and watch TV. And they go, I don't have time to get 8 to 10K steps in a day. You probably do, but you're not prioritizing it. The positive endorphins that are released just from walking outside in nature are absolutely frightening. So if you compare that with a high rocks workout or something like that in the morning or a HIIT workout of some sort, yeah, it's all around the mind. It's not just around the body, because to exercise to lose weight is very difficult. The nutrition side is obviously way more important. As you've all heard the old adage, you can't out-train a bad diet, and I absolutely agree. So journaling. Now, this doesn't have to be Dear Diary. That's the common misconception when it comes to journaling. But just having a book, we'd highly recommend the Productivity Planner that you can order on Amazon. It costs around £24, £25, something like that. Every day it gives you prompts of things to be grateful for. What are your goals for the day ahead? What was the best thing that happened yesterday? What have you learned about yourself today? And there's a separate section for notes. Once you're in your head, you're dead. You need to get out of your head. And a lot of people don't have anyone they can really talk to and be fully open and honest with. When you're journaling, there is no judgment. So you can just write down whatever it is that you feel that day without any caveats, without explaining yourself. If you tried to have sex with your partner and they pushed you away again, you can write down how it made you feel if you don't feel comfortable talking to them about it. Ideally, you would be addressing it with them, but if not, use the journal. That's what it's there for. Gratitude. Now, this is the antidote to entitlement. And we all take things for granted every single day. It might be that there's been a storm recently, for example, in the UK. Some people have had their electricity blown out. I can guarantee you that they were taking electricity for granted, as we all do every single day. But when you don't have it, holy shit, you start to realize how important it is. This is why practicing gratitude is imperative. So if you can write down 3 to 5 things every single day, you'll start taking things like a cup of coffee in a whole different light. You'll be like, oh my God, this is amazing. Nice hot cup of coffee. How lucky am I? Is it the fact that you have to go to the gym, or is it that you get to go to the gym? Because I'm telling you right now, there's thousands, probably millions of people across the world that can't exercise anymore due to a disability or an accident that they've experienced. So this doesn't mean that I walk around and just loving every single thing and I'm not angry ever and I've just got this huge sense of inner peace and calm all the time. No, but when you do practice gratitude, you do become a little bit more at ease with yourself. You do find joy in simple things. When you're taking your dogs out for a walk, don't take your phone. Look at how they run. Look at how daft they are. They're idiosyncrasies that make you laugh that nobody else would possibly understand, right? Because once you say, I'm grateful for my partner, my children, and my home 3 or 4 days in a row, it's going to be a bit repetitive. So mix it up a little bit. Instead, start saying what exactly it is that you're grateful for around your children. Is it the way they laugh? Is it the way they interact with you, right? What is it specifically that you love about your partner? Why do you love your house? The more you can do this, the better. And the last one is mindfulness. So many people say to us that they struggle to meditate. The irony, right? Because a lot of people can't bear to sit with their thoughts for longer than 5 minutes. And that's quite scary, really. If the thought of meditation is overwhelming, then just focus on mindfulness. Mindfulness looks like when you go out for that walk, as I said earlier, looking at the trees swaying in the wind. Mindfulness and solitude is when you're in the queue at Starbucks and you're just looking around the cafe without staring at your phone like a zombie. Mindfulness is the next time you're eating a meal, really taste what it is that you're chewing and put your cutlery down in between. Some of this might sound a bit alien and a bit wishy-washy, but I'm telling you, it's going to bring you right back to now. Meditation doesn't need to be sat in a dressing gown with incense and you going hum for it to be effective. Absolutely not. Meditation can simply be sat still for a minute with your eyes closed with some relaxing music on, and you're going to focus on your breath. Breathe in through your nose for 4, hold your breath for 4 seconds, then breathe out for 4 seconds. If you do that for 1 minute, you've meditated. And you can slowly build that. So, do you need to do all of these things every single day? Honestly, if you want to perform at the highest level, yes. Does it mean you're a bad person if you miss 1 or 2 of them? Of course not. But we want to start out on the right foot, and that all begins with the hydration. Then it goes to eating a healthy breakfast, making sure you get that exercise in, ensuring the night before that your sleep has been really good. Look to journal your thoughts, practice some gratitude while you are journaling, and then practice some mindfulness. And the thing is, you can do so many of these things at the same time. So exercise, walking outside. You could be listening to a podcast or an audio book, right? There to get some positive content in. You can be looking for things to be grateful for as you're doing it. And then you can still be mindful as you're walking around. So you can hit 3 or 4 really healthy habits at the same time. This is known as habit stacking. When you are practicing gratitude during the journaling, that's a habit stack. So you don't have to overcomplicate this when you're in the gym, listening to a YouTube video like this, listening to a podcast or an audiobook, like I said before. Great. Habit stack. So get on with those. Let me know in the comments any extra habits that you like to do every single day and your thoughts on what I've said today. And I look forward to seeing you next time.